This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.
I think everybody's kind of naive, and it's like, I need to get to Nashville and write songs and get better at writing songs, get a pub deal, develop or whatever, and then, sign to a label, and then boom, famous.
Yeah. Overnight. It's like Stapleton.
Yeah, dude. It's almost like you think like the label deal is the thing that is always like the golden ticket.
Oh my God.
And it's like you get the label deal or whatever, and that's just the start. That's like the open door.
I drank that Kool-Aid. I wanted a record deal for so long. I mean, from October of 2012 until November of 2019 when I signed with Sony Music, I was like, God, just give me a record deal. Give me a record deal. That's all I need. Once I get a record deal, it'll be golden road from there. And I couldn't have been more wrong. I couldn't get out. Like, I was so ready to not have a record deal once I had a record deal. And I did. I left in 2023. I asked them if I could get out of my deal. And it's the best decision I've ever made. It's changed my life in so many ways. It was also like the same year that we found out we were pregnant with our first son, and he was born in 2024. And it's just allowed me, owning my music again has allowed me the flexibility to barely miss any days of his life and do, put as much music out as I want and run this artistry, this music business thing the way that I want to and what's best for me and my family. And it turns out the more that I've leaned into what's best for me and my family, what do I want to do, what do I love, what kind of music do I want to put out, the more that I've really leaned into that, the better it's gone. And, and so the more that I've leaned into that, the more that I've loved it, I've kind of found my love for it again. I kind of lost it there again in the somewhere in that label phase, because at some point you feel like you're working for somebody else. Like they're getting, you're doing all the work, they're getting all the spoils at some point. And so I kind of lost it for a minute, but since I've left, it's almost been like I moved back to Nashville in 2012 and started over. It's like the love of making music, of the artwork of the album, of the videos that go into it has all come back. And it's been kind of like a fresh start in a lot of really great ways. So
yeah, what was the first kind of like behind the curtain experience after that deal? Because you're like, as soon as I got into it, I was like,
I think timing is such a huge thing. And I don't, labels are labels. And I knew what a label was when I signed up. I know it's not, automatic, this is going to work. They're throwing things at the wall. Some things may work, some things may not. I happened to sign a deal 3 months before the world shut down, right before COVID. And I had a song, Famous, had been out since January of 2019 and was almost a gold record independently by the time I signed with Sony. And so I was able to see what kind of money you can make as an independent artist owning your music. I just felt like Famous, almost being a gold record, I felt like, okay, I've taken this about as far as I can. Let's sign with the label. Let's go to radio. And that was what I did. I signed with the label. I got a good deal. And the deal said must go to radio in the next 2 months situation. And they did. It just, COVID happened right when they went to radio. And so, you ask most people around town, they think Famous went #1 at radio. And the truth is it never got out of the 40s because the world shut down. I think that was a big part of it. I think once COVID happened, it was almost labels specifically, I think, their heads were spinning. They didn't know. They lost a lot of power because TikTok happened at the same time that COVID happened. And people were going viral and people were getting all these views and they were getting these record deals of like, $5 and $6 million signing bonuses and stuff like that. Which
off of viral moment.
Off of one moment. Yeah. And so I think everybody just kind of got caught up in it. And I think I was just part of that, to be honest with you. I don't think it was any, I don't think anybody was not trying. I had people at the label that believed in me and believed in my music, when I exited is why they were great with the exit. They go, you know what? We don't feel like we've done you a service here either. Like, let's make this as seamless as possible. We wish you the absolute best. And they allowed me to walk out of that. A lot of labels maybe wouldn't have allowed that to happen. I could have got put on a shelf and still been there right now, wishing I wasn't. But they allowed me to walk away and got to leave with some music, which was great, and just kind of was a nice jumpstart to the independent career. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's a nice bookend on that label relationship.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the type hate anybody or to, try and talk bad about anybody. I'm the type of person that I genuinely enjoy people. I like to get to know people. I like working with people. Like the process of this music industry is such a big part of it. And your team. And again, I'm sure there were moments where I was in the middle there where like, you're not doing your job. You don't believe in my music. But the truth is those people on your team, even at the label, there's a long ladder they have to get up to get. Even if they believe in your music 1,000,000%, they still got to get it past a lot of people to get the things that we want to happen, And so I try to keep that mindset. I don't think anybody's out to get me. I think the victim mindset is never a good one to have. But also I'm someone that loves the journey. I kind of enjoy being told no. I had a full ride to play golf at a high school, ended up playing baseball after just 1 year. So I was kind of the guy that shouldn't have started on the baseball team, but I loved that edge of like, I shouldn't be starting, but I am. Played in the College World Series, got drafted for minor leagues, and then moved to Nashville. So I feel like I was pretty prepared for the fight of Nashville and then getting told no. It's probably literally 10 to 15 times a day you get told no. Mm-hmm. You have these ideas or you have these songs or pitching things this or there, and you're going to get told no so often. But I enjoy that uphill climb. I think the journey is such a big part of it. And part of me, there's part of me that wishes I was selling out stadiums already, but there's also a part of me that knows myself. And if I was already doing that, I might have moved on to something else by now. Like the never being able to catch the music thing so far has been fun for me. I kind of like being the underdog. I like being the guy that people are going, why aren't you more famous yet? Why haven't you blown up? Or you're going to blow up. You just wait. I think I'm able to have a really fun time trying to make it happen and along the way. And especially these last few years, like starting a family and really implementing that into what I'm doing, the songs, the tour, all of that stuff has just been so fun. And it just feels like there's a lot more purpose and a lot more to work for doing it that way.
Yeah, man. Purpose. How has your life changed since having your son? Because it's like we have a 2.5-year-old.
Okay. Amazing.
And so, and your son's 17 months.
Mm-hmm. 17 months.
It's interesting because for me, I realized when having a kid how selfish I am.
Right. We all do.
And then what really matters at the same time,
mm-hmm.
like as you get to know that little guy.
Yeah.
And my little boy Harlan's like, it's like having a family is like the best thing ever. How has that been for you in terms of how you view your priorities in life and you view your future and you view kind of like almost from a cosmic reality of like, life's pretty short. Where do I want to invest my time?
Yeah. I mean, there are no ways that my life hasn't been changed by having Jack and becoming a dad. It has been my favorite thing I've ever done by miles. You know what I mean? And I've done some cool stuff. I've done a lot of things in my life and in the sports world and music world. And this doesn't even compare to anything. I mean, it was just like everything flipped. Almost the moment you find out you're going to have a kid, but also when you see him for the first time. I mean, it's just purpose is a good word for it because that's what shifts the most. And I think the timing of being independent and being able to pick and choose what I want to do with my time has been such an important thing to me because like I hate leaving him. I used to be the guy that was, I can't wait to get out on the road this weekend. Can't wait to get on the bus and take off. And now, it immediately flipped to, all right, how can I manage this where I spend the least amount of nights away? How can I manage this where I miss the fewest bedtimes for him? And so that's something that flipped really quickly for me. And then, I'd say being independent, owning my music, I'm able to make money from home making music. So there's the 2 years before when I was at the label, when they're making all the money off streaming, you have to go play shows to make money. That's it. And so there would be a lot of, oh man, I don't really want to go to North Dakota and play this show and open for this band that I've never heard of, and just so I can make $5,000, but I have to. And now that's flipped in a way of like, no, I don't want to leave my family for those 2 days, so I'm not going to do it. There's a lot of that it used to feel like I really had to go do that stuff. Now I don't. So we've just, like I said, the more that I'm not willing to give up these early days with my boy just for the music industry. You know what I mean? And used to, that's maybe something I used to say yes to everything. I would just go do it. Now, if it doesn't work for my family, it doesn't work for me. And that's kind of how we roll with everything. We've been doing a tour this year that, I mean, my wife and my son were the openers on the tour poster. We're touring together. It's an acoustic show, and we've been doing it all year, and it's been amazing. And we haven't had to miss any time with him, because it's hard on my wife too. Like if I were to leave for 4 or 5 days and it's just her at home, that gets exhausting as well. And so we've been doing that. The show is like Mac McKinnon is my wife's name, but she goes by Mac. And Jack is my son's name. So Mac and Jack walk out on stage and introduce me for the show. They say, y'all say hello to my husband and Jack's dad, Adam Doleac. And that's kind of how the show starts. And we've just been able to work all of that in. And it's been really special. It's memories that we'll have forever. And it's just, there's a song on the new album called Looking Forward to Looking Back. And it's about in 60 years, what are we going to be talking about? And it's like, I know all this time is going to fly by way too fast, but I'm looking forward to sitting in a rocking chair with you one day and looking back at these times, because I know it's the most special days of our lives. And I think we've done a really good job of like not forgetting that. We haven't wasted many days at all with our little boy. So
yeah. I think that, like you said, you're like, I used to want to leave all the time, and then now you want to be there. But it's crazy because we're both experiencing this probably, is that like every week, every day, there's like a new change.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to miss that.
I mean, you can't leave for 3 days and not miss something.
Correct.
They're going to say something they've never said or do something they've never done, or yeah, it's 100%. And you want to see it. You don't want a video from mom. You want to be there for it.
Yeah. So looking forward to looking back, that's dope, because it's like, you're never going to regret that.
Mm-hmm.
I was with both of my parents and they passed, and none of them were talking about what they did or success or whatever. All they wanted was the people they love with them.
Yeah.
And it kind of like reframes reality in a new light. That's why I made that cosmic view perspective, because I had such a taste with like mortality with losing them, and having a son shortly after my mom passed actually was like death and life, and it's a beautiful thing to have that,
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that you've been able to weave your family into it, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. I'm leaving my family to go out on the road, and then I'm coming back, and then I get to a point then where it's like, am I going out on the road because I want to or because I need to? You know what I'm saying? And then like people get in these weird like head games, and it can get really confusing. So I don't think that probably until the last 100 years were people playing in stadiums very regularly, touring.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably real natural to be with your family most of the time.
Yeah.
And so to integrate them into what you do is dope, man.
Well, I used to call it re-entry, because like when you would come home from the road.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing normal. I mean, we're playing for 1,500, 2,000 people in smaller rooms. But even that, or a stadium, whatever it is, there's really nothing normal about that life. So if you were to leave for, let's say, Thursday, Friday, Saturday shows, you're out there with an entire crew of people that are there for you. Like you're in charge of that. Their world's revolving around you. You're walking on these stages where everyone's cheering for you. And back to the selfish thing. It's like you get back home, it's not, that's the opposite. It's like bizarro world. That's why I call it re-entry, because I made that mistake. I would almost come home, and this was before Jack, but I would come home to my wife or fiance or girlfriend. She went through all those stages with this, and almost in my head on accident be like, well, why aren't you cheering for me? I'm home. You know what I mean? Because that you get so used to that. There's fans out there that are all about you. And really you should be coming home and being all about her. She's been at home without you for 3 or 4 days, and that world should flip. But sometimes you forget that. Like it gets in your head and you get used to that. So I remember I made that mistake one day, and the next time I came home, I took a good 5-10 minutes. I sat in my truck and I was like, let's rewire the brain. Like, let's remember she's been here by herself for 3 days. You know, she's been missing you, and you've been out on the road having a great time and missing her, but it's a lot different sitting at home by yourself than being on stage in front of 2,000 people, which is a blast.
Yeah.
So I used to call it re-entry. I was like, just don't forget when you get back home, be excited, you know, be a fan of hers. It's kind of where I have a song called Biggest Fan that kind of came from that idea. I was like, I'm your biggest fan. You know, if you were a singer, I would be your biggest fan too. So yeah, that's one of those things that I definitely noticed. And
yeah. What I think's dope is that your new record that's coming out, you have the cover is you and your wife and your son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's badass.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I just thought that was really cool to include them. I think some people want to like keep their family out of the public eye or whatever.
Yeah.
And you probably had those thoughts at one point. But it was like, no, man, like sharing it with the world's cool because people relate. Like, humans want to relate to the humanity of someone experiencing dad life and husband life and like all of those hurdles and things that happen in a relationship, the ups and the downs, the good, the bad. That's what connects us. And I feel like so often what we see from artists is a curated talking point versus just like talking, you know,
100%.
like sharing life. And so I just think that's really cool that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think my favorite music, and I think most people's favorite music, is the most honest, authentic music, right? You don't want your favorite artist to be singing about stuff that's not them. You know, that's not true to them. And so where I'm at right now, like this album is called Dream House because I'm in mine. You know, I wrote all these songs from under the roof of my dream house. I had these visions of one day when I was 13 years old of getting married, having kids, the whole thing. And it's all these things have finally come true. And so like my family is me. That is my heart. That is what this album is about. That's what I'm writing about. So like to not include them felt weird to me. I was like, I want them included as much as possible because that's exactly where I am. And like I said, all of my favorite music is artists writing about exactly who they are and where they are in their life. And I think that's why I'm the most proud of this album that I've ever been, of any album, because this is the most honest I've ever been as far as what I'm feeling, where I'm at in my life. There's always been an element of, you know, write what the town wants to hear, write what the fans want to hear, write what the label wants to hear in my music. Not saying that it wasn't great music, but I've always had that. It's always been there. And I think this record, Dream House, is the least amount of that I've ever had. I'm sure there's still a little bit. I'm still a little worried about, I want it to be a hit. I want fans to love it. But it's really just being honest and writing about exactly where I'm at in my life, which is in my dream house.
Yeah. Where is that like teeter-tottering of commercialism versus authenticity in your brain when you're writing? Because I think it's interesting to go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you have these voices in your head almost that get stuck in there of maybe it's a publisher's feedback or whatever.
Yeah.
Or a label's feedback. And you're like, I know exactly what this person would say about this line in this song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And then you can start to write from the framework of other people, like you just mentioned, versus sidelining them and letting your reality be the catalyst to the song you're writing versus the voices.
Yes.
How do you delineate between those?
I think I am somebody who likes opinions. So it is difficult for me because, you know, I was the firstborn in my family. I was the golden child. I was always like having to be on and impressive at all the time. So making other people happy, being a people pleaser has always been something that's into me. But also on the other side of that, I think the longer that you write songs and the longer that you do this, the more solid you feel in your own opinions and what you know is good. And so maybe like at the beginning, I used to would have sent 15 songs to somebody, been like, tell me your favorite 5 or something. But there were probably songs in the 15 that I didn't even like. You know, I just thought they might like them, so I'd put them in there. Now it's more so, I would never send a song to someone for an opinion that I didn't already love. You know what I mean? That I didn't think, that I wouldn't be comfortable putting out. So I think I'm just more solid on what I want to say. And also the writing aspect. I think I'm really lucky on most of my fans love me for the message of the songs and how they're delivered. So that's the most exciting thing to me about new music is the hook and the setup line for the hook and just the songwriting aspect of how you can, we're all saying the same thing. How can we say it in a cool way? So that's something that I'm very, very particular on. So the amount of opinions that I'm listening to has just really sucked in. There's a close knit kind of family of people that I trust as far as with songs go. And I just go off that. I think, the more you leave it up to the fans, probably the less good music you're going to get. You've probably checked Rick Rubin talks all the time about this. And he's like, says fans last.
Correct.
And I think there's something really cool about that. He's like, turns out the best thing you can do, if you're making something that you think is the absolute best thing that you can do, it's going to be better for them too. That's kind of been the turn that I've tried to take as far as the last 4 or 5 years is, and becoming a dad and just knowing my role in this life. Like I'm supposed to be a good husband and a good dad first. Yeah. And that's kind of all I've focused on. And being in that world, I've just kind of cut out outside opinions as far as that goes. Obviously, I still want to put out great music, and I'm not going to put anything out that I don't love. But I've been able to just really focus on what's true to me, what I want to say, what's true to my family and my life. And that's kind of the songs that I've gone with.
Talk to me about the collaborations you've done on the new record.
Well, the first one that's already out, that came out first, was Bar Named Jesus with Thomas Rhett.
Yeah, tell me the story of that.
It was, I didn't know Thomas. So this was not like a, hey buddy, you want to sing on this song with me? I just wrote this song that I thought was really powerful and a really special song. I thought it was the best song that I'd ever written, to be honest with you. And I thought, more importantly, that it could impact a lot of people. And so that's kind of where the idea of a feature came from. And so when I was thinking of who should be a feature on it, like who's my dream feature on this, just Thomas Rhett kept popping up in my head. And I say I didn't know him. I've met him. We just weren't buddies. You know what I mean? And so he's a family guy, which I look up to him for that, and a godly guy, which I look up to him for that. And so I ended up just sending it to him. My brother-in-law works with him and his wife in their Love One missions in Uganda and stuff. So he had his number. I didn't even have his number. And we were sitting around a fire one night, and I texted him the song, Bar Named Jesus. And I didn't say like, will you sing on it? Just send it to him. Just see what happens. And I would love to say that he texted me right back and was like, this is an incredible song. I want to be a part of it. What do we do? But truth is, I didn't hear back from him for 3 months. Not a peep, no text, no nothing. And I just kind of assumed that he, didn't like it, didn't listen to it, whatever it might have been. But 3 months later, I was playing with Jack in the living room. It was 9 o'clock one morning, and my phone rings and it says Thomas right on the screen. I'm like, whoa, better pick this up. And so I answer, walk outside, and I say, hey, what's up, man? And I'm listening, and Thomas is crying on the other end of the phone, like weeping tears, crying. And I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Keep in mind, I've never spoken to Thomas on the phone in my life. And he said, man, I just had the biggest God moment I've had in the last 5 years. And I wanted to call you and tell you about it right now. And what ended up happening was he finally got around to listening to Bar Named Jesus. And he was, like we all do, in our truck and windows down, turned up as loud as you can when you're listening to a new song. And he was driving down Hillsborough Road in Green Hills, so the busiest street in Nashville. And he said he came up to a red light, and it was red. He was stopped. Song was blaring out the window, and there was a homeless man sitting at the base of the red light. And this whole thing is such a God moment thing, because several of these things just don't happen. First of all, the homeless guy stood up and like waved Thomas down and goes, what is that song that you're listening to? And the whole story of that song is an alcoholic and finding Jesus. And I think this guy had been an alcoholic. I think he heard something that resonated with him. And so I've never had a homeless man ask me what song I'm listening to. I don't know about you. And then the second thing that never happens is Thomas ended up waving the guy over to his window of his truck and said, come lean in the window and listen to this chorus with me. And so he did. And he said the light turned green, traffic's just rolling by them, and they're just sitting in the street listening to Bar Named Jesus. And he said the homeless man started crying, and then Thomas started crying. And then like 30 seconds after that is when he called me and said, hey, I want to be a part of this song. I just saw what it could do. I just saw what God could do through this song, and I want to be a part of that. And so he called me, and my jaw was just on the floor the whole time he's telling the story. I'm like, if that's not a God moment, I don't know what is. And I was like, I really, really hope we get to tell this story at a number one party one day, because that just doesn't happen. It was incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's definitely a God moment.
It almost sounds made up. Like, it sounds like we made the story up to promote the song or something, but that's like exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Songs, it's almost, not almost, songs take on a life of their own. It's bigger than you writing it,
100%. And that is why I sent it to Thomas. I felt like that song was way, way bigger than myself and him. Like, I think that, and I've watched it impact people in their lives. It's the first time I've had a lot of impact on people through love songs and first dances and love stories. That was the first time I'd written about Jesus and something bigger. And it's been really special to hear from people that heard that song at the right time, and that, maybe had thought they needed to stop drinking, but they are going to do it now. Or they were a Christian, but haven't talked to God in a long time. I'm going to start back now. Just that kind of thing I've heard from so many people. And Thomas was a big part of that, as far as like, a lot more ears heard that song because he was willing to jump on that. I mean, he's got 30 something number ones. There's really no reason for him to come sing with me, but luckily he thought the song was as special as I did and jumped on it.
Crazy. I wonder if that was the first time he heard it.
I believe so. Because, again, I had thought that
that's got to be deep in the, I'm just like in your text message, a guy like Thomas has to be getting a lot of texts,
Yeah.
So that was probably in the archives.
For sure. And he's got, like I said, I gave up on him even listening to it or being, I think I'd probably already sent it to, I think I maybe even sent it to Jordan Davis at some point in that, because I thought he'd be a great feature on it as well. And I was right, because Jordan actually posted it when it came out and was like, this song is incredible. But I think I'd probably already started sending it to other people, trying to get somebody else on it. Because again, I just wanted as many people to hear it as possible.
Yeah.
And then he popped in and did it, which was amazing. I mean, he's, him and his family are somebody that me and my family look up to. They do it really well. And I feel like they keep family first in a great way. So
that's what Jordan said as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, Thomas has taught me a lot about balancing this family road.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, because he's got, 4 girls, another one on the way now. Not a girl. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. Just 4 girls and another baby on the way. And he's got, he's a superstar. So there's a lot. And so, and I never take anything personally in the music industry. I think that's a good rule to live by. If you don't get a text back or a call back, it's probably just because they forgot or didn't have time. It's nothing against you. So I wasn't like, oh, I can't believe he didn't text me back. I just moved on. And so it was even more special when he called.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. What are some of those little things like that you've had to learn that you wish you could like maybe tell younger people or your younger self? That are some little lessons along the way where you've grown.
I think the more that you can figure out yourself and what you want to say and how you want to say it before you jump in is really important, because it's so much time, and it's such a battle. You're going to get told no for years and years, and things aren't going to work the way that you want them to, and songs that you think are hits are not going to turn into hits, and it's just, I think that it is so hard that it's important to know who you are and believe in what you're doing, and just know the direction you're going to fight that battle, because it's going to be so hard. And so I think I spent a lot of years, again, back to the label, impressing people at the publishing company, impressing people at the label. It's real easy to be grinding it out, write this song that you don't really care about, and then everybody at the label emails you like, this is a hit, this is a hit, this is a hit, this is a hit. It's easy to be like, all right, I guess it's a hit. We're going to go that direction. But I think the more that you do that, where you're like, you're chasing after other people's vision of what you're doing instead of knowing what your vision is, I think that is important, because you don't waste time. And it's worse than wasted time. It's wasted time that is such a grind and such a battle, and it's hard. Music industry is really hard. I don't know the percentage of people that actually make it in the music industry, but it's very small. It's like professional baseball or professional anything, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like the people that even chase their dreams are probably like metaphorical 1%ers that actually decide I'm gonna. Because I heard the stat: 70% of Americans are not happy in the job that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the amount of people that pursue a dream is very small. And then the amount of people that are successful in their dream of that 1% has to be 0.00 whatever, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes back to the journey thing too, because I think what makes me the absolute most excited, most happy, most driven, most purpose-filled is chasing after the dream, and for the right reasons, for my family, to support a family. So, and I watched this, like Scotty Scheffler had that interview that kind of went viral. I'm a big Scotty fan. I got to meet him actually. And he talks about, if I win this tournament, it's going to be awesome for about 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And I think if you watch, like we just watched the US Open, we're watching these people win the US Open. And for about 30 seconds, they go nuts on the court. And then you could see them in their chair afterwards, and they're just kind of blankly staring. And you can kind of see that like the ride's over. They did it. They made it to the mountaintop. And I think there's so much to trying to get there. I think you have to have that, like it's got to excite them to try and get there, right? Or else they wouldn't put in all that work, and they wouldn't go through all the grind of doing that. But I can see it in people that do make it to where they're trying to make it, and something gets lost. Something is not as exciting anymore once they actually get there. And so I think I know myself pretty well. I think I would probably feel that a little bit. And so I think that's a reason why I still enjoy man, you're so underrated. Man, you should be selling out stadiums. All those comments. I think that doesn't discourage me because I'm still on the ride. And I've been doing it for a while. And luckily it's been going up the entire time. Never really straight up. People ask me when was the moment that you made it? I'm like, I haven't had that moment. It's just been a lot of little yeses attached to no's along the way that just kind of keep going.
It's the S&P 500.
Yeah.
If you look at it since the 80s, bro.
Yeah.
It's just a steady climb.
Steady climb. And I know, like, when I moved to Nashville in 2012 or whatever it was, if you would have told me that I'd be, where I am right now, making X amount of money that I'm making right now, supporting my family the way that I am right now, I would have been like, oh my God, yes, sign me up. Like, I made it. That's making it. That was making it back then. It was way less than that, actually. It was like, let's sell 500 CDs out of a backpack, making it.
And any mountain you get to the top of, you're just going to see a higher peak.
100%.
I was listening to this sermon Sunday in church, and the story of the burning bush, Moses. Mm-hmm. And when he sees the bush, he's like, God, he was like, what's that? And then he realized, and God talks to him and tells him to take off his sandals, and because he was on holy ground. But the pastor made this interesting parallel where he was like, in like tradition or like different cultures, you take off your shoes if you're going into someone's house, and it means that you're going to stay a while. And like in that moment with Moses and taking off his shoes, not only was he on holy ground, but it was also God inviting him to like be there and be present and like worship him. And I thought it was interesting because so often we don't metaphorically take off our shoes and just experience today or right now, or just sitting here talking on a podcast, or like playing with your son Jack, and our minds will be like, okay, I got to do this later. I got this. I got my album dropping, and we just released a tour day. What I'm saying? Yeah. And it's such an interesting way to try to like rewire the brain, so to speak, like you talked about in the truck, to a point where we can just like be in the moment. And that younger you said, oh, I won. Like, I already won being where I'm at right now. Yeah. Which is pretty dope. And
it's amazing.
And I think acknowledging that for people that listen, like, it's so important to it. People always say, enjoy the journey, like not the destination. It's about the journey. And I always think like, oh, it's real easy for like so-and-so to say that.
Right. Right. It does
They're a
depend on who's
billionaire.
telling you that. Right.
You know, I'm
right.
like, shut up. Like the journey, whatever. You're Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then part of me is like, they might be very right. And I'm sure they are.
I think it's exactly right. It's one of those like, cliches are cliches for a reason, I guess. It's like the way that statement is delivered, it's very easy to say, oh, yeah, okay, enjoy the journey, whatever. Easy to say from up there. But I think it's so true. I just really do. And at least I can't speak for everyone, but I know myself. And the journey is what keeps me going. It's what's exciting. It's so fun. That is what is so fun to me. And I think why I've been able to, keep this thing growing and growing over the last 10 years. I think that's kind of, there's probably, I've seen a lot of people come and go in those years, and I think that's probably just depending on the person. If you don't like hearing the word no, you probably gave up a long time ago. If all you wanted was a golden ticket to get way up here, you probably gave up a long time ago. And so I think I'm really grateful that I feel that way about the journey, because I think you have to if you're going to make it.
On the technical side too of this journey, you were talking about making them. You said earlier with the label side and working and seeing who's making, I think your word was the spoils.
Yeah.
And now you're independent,
Mm-hmm.
and now you own your masters
Mm-hmm.
and your songs and your publishing and your writing. And can you, like, to get into the people that are maybe independent musicians or are doing it? And I even had a conversation with a lady that's starting a label. She's been super successful, and she's starting a podcast. So she was asking me some questions, and I was talking to her about some things, and she was like, honestly, you don't need a record deal anymore.
Yeah.
And she's like, all you need is really like to build a community, to build fans, build attention, build people, It's the attention economy. Me and Devin were talking about this earlier of like social media and stuff.
Yeah.
But also that connection piece of you connecting with your fans.
Yeah.
She was like, that's what it's about. Like the label thing, it's almost to the point where I think labels are starting to sign deals where if they can't get you X, Y, or Z by a certain point, they'll let you go because they didn't hold up their part of the bargain, because their negotiating power is lower than ever in terms of what they're really able to offer outside of money.
Right.
Which is a big loan.
It's a zero interest bank, right, with a label. Yeah. I think that's, and I don't want to say that,
And connections.
Yeah. Connections. But those connections aren't going to happen unless you're already making something happen for them. You know what I mean? I always say,
very quid pro quo, rub your, yeah.
I always say that by the time a label wants you, you probably don't want a label. That's kind of how it works now. Because if you have, they're not going out and developing artists. They're not going down there and saying, man, that Adam Doleac guy has an incredible voice. We should sign him and develop him over the next couple of years. It's not that anymore, where it used to be.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing is, man, that Adam Doleac has a lot of views on that song. He's got a lot of followers. We should probably sign him so we can have those followers. And so it's like, again, it goes back to what you're saying. You've built the community. You've done all that work, and of course they want to be a part of it. And I'm not saying that labels aren't the move, because labels can help you in a lot of ways. They have money to go to radio. I think radio still matters. And I think it's just being smart when signing a deal. I think a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, get so excited about just a record deal. I just want a record deal. I don't want to read the fine print. Just sign me up. Sign me up. It'll work out. And
I want to post on my Instagram.
I want
just
to post so my people back home can see that I finally signed with so-and-so music.
Yeah.
And that is a real thing. And I get it. I was there. I did it.
Was that a Scotty Scheffler moment?
No, not immediately. But
Okay.
I mean, I had a few good months, and then COVID happened.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I was going. But you know what did happen? Famous. This should have been my initial sign, and I couldn't have done anything about it because I'd already signed.
ChatGPT says it's the number one, by the way.
Does it?
Yeah.
I knew I liked ChatGPT. That's not good marketing for AI, though. That's incorrect information.
I'd roll with it.
I will.
Let's
I will.
keep
It was number one, huge number one, 10 weeks. But what happened, I'll never forget this, and it just kind of put a pit in the bottom of my stomach, is I signed, and like I told you, Famous was almost gold. That's the reason I signed a deal. It had already gone number one on Sirius XM, and I signed, got a good record deal, And in the deal was to go straight to radio. And the first week that we were about to start pushing out to radio, I got an email from the label team. And they wanted to change the sound of the clap noise in the verse of Famous. And I was, this song it's almost a gold record. That many people have heard it. It's already gone number 1 on Sirius XM The Highway for multiple weeks. It obviously works, right? It obviously, whatever's going on in that song is connecting with people. They wanted to change the frequency of the clap to go to radio because somebody, a radio program director, said, I don't know, this sounds a little off to me. So we're in that moment where they could have gone, no, it's exactly what it needs to be, and this artist is about to blow up, you're going to play it. They went, hey, artist, can we make a new recording of this and change the sound of this nearly gold record to go to radio? So that was a moment that I'll never forget, because I remember thinking, didn't you just sign me and give me all this money because you believed in me and this song? And then the first time someone says something about it maybe not being what they wanted to hear on that one out of 155 radio stations, you come back to me and want me to change it? That was a bad sign. I kind of knew right when before I even responded, right when they asked the question, I was like, I don't know that they believe in it. I think they believe in maybe the numbers they saw, but I don't know that they're in. I'll never forget that.
So did the claps change?
Yeah, they changed it. Mm-hmm. They made a radio version that went only to radio. The streaming version you would hear never changed, but they made a radio version and put that out to radio.
That's crazy to me,
isn't it?
Back to Rick Rubin, he talks about an opinion's an opinion. It doesn't mean it's good or bad.
It's so
it's
true.
Just one person's opinion.
Yeah, nobody went to school for the radio chart. No one's got a degree in the radio chart.
No.
Or in music at all.
So one program director's opinion on claps is just absurd to me.
It's absurd to me too.
And I mean, even like if you look down to who's getting signed by who at publishing companies or labels, it really comes down to the opinion of the A&R or whoever's signing, if they believe in that person or not. Yeah. And that's an opinion-based decision where, some labels or publishers might pass because they don't think that person's right or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then someone sees it, it's their opinion.
Right.
And then the public speaks also with their ears to an extent.
Yeah.
And then I think what's interesting that you said earlier, because I often think like I've heard the public is the A&R of the true A&R. And then I've also heard like what Rubin said about like consider the audience last. It's just interesting how that all works.
I think it's the order in which you use them.
Yeah.
Make something you believe in and think is great, and then let the audience weigh in.
Yeah,
but don't do the other way around. Don't make, I believe in this one, I think this one's trash, I think this one's okay. Let's put all three out and let the fans decide. Don't do that. Because then, let's say it does work. Let's say it goes viral and it's a big number 1 hit. Then you're just kind of stuck, singing something you didn't believe in and saying something you don't believe. And that sucks. I think, again, it goes back to it's such a grind and such a long road in the music industry. You at least have to start on the ground where like, I love what I'm doing. I believe in what I'm doing. And I'm willing to work as hard as I need to for it. If you have that, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
But if you're doing all that for something you don't believe in, no thanks.
Yeah. What's one of the best pieces of advice you've been given?
I think a really simple piece of advice that I got a while back was just take it one day at a time. I'm a big dreamer. And so it was really easy for me to, when I started in this industry, to, write a song and I'd just go way down the road. I'd be like, oh, we're going to produce it like this. It's going to be a hit. It's going to go to radio. It's going to do all this thing. I'm going to end up playing stadiums, and you get way ahead of yourself. And I think what that did to me was when that stuff didn't happen, it just kind of demoralized me a little bit. It would make me sad. I'd be like, oh man, I had all these plans. It was like losing instead of winning, because there was a lot of great things that would happen along the way with whatever song it would be. But I was so focused on the one day aspect of it and what could happen that I was missing the little wins along the way. And so the taking it one day at a time thing, I know it sounds so simple, but it keeps me present. It keeps me in the moment of exactly what I'm doing. And I just have less expectations of what's going to happen. I want to make music that I love, and I want to run the release of that music and all of the creative around it in a way that I love. And I want to present it to people that way. What's going to happen when it comes out? I don't know. But there'll be some pretty cool things that happen. I'm not going to set the goal of, oh my gosh, John Mayer's going to hear this song and it's going to go straight to a Sirius XM radio station and maybe I'll get to do an interview with him. I'm not going to do that, because then it's like, if that doesn't happen, or probably when that doesn't happen, I don't have to be upset about that. I'd just rather be in the moment and proud of what I'm doing, and kind of take what happens, good and bad, as it happens.
Yeah. It's about letting go of the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having open hands. I heard a quote yesterday. It said, if you let go a little bit, you'll be a little bit happy. If you let go a lot, you'll be a lot more happy.
Yeah.
If you let go of everything, you'll be extremely happy, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. Like, we want to control the outcomes.
Oh, I'm such a control freak.
Yeah,
I have
dude.
to watch
So when you're a dreamer and you want to control the outcome, it's like, it didn't work out the way I did, and you're setting yourself up for failure, versus just being like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to release this thing, and a lot of it's out of my control.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, all of it's out of your control.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so finicky, this whole music industry. But I will say, like, the more grateful that I am for where I am and my family and my life, my music, the happier I am. 100%. Like, that scale is foolproof. The more grateful that I can be, the happier that I am. And so there's so much to be grateful for. It's just also, you know, there's so many things you can complain about, but there's so many things you can be grateful for. And so I just try to stay there. I stay there as much as I can. And on the bad days, I will notice I haven't been very grateful today. I don't know that I've been grateful at all today.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I try to keep in mind. And also just being, you know, kind to yourself, I think, is, you know, that's another thing I've gotten from becoming a dad. I'm looking at Jack, right? I've been looking at him right now. He's 17 months. He's this just little bundle of joy and energy, and all he does is smile, and, you know, he's not worried about anything. And it's interesting. I think that child is probably still inside all of us, right? I was a 17-month-old little bundle of joy. And so if you think about, like, I'm very hard on myself. And so some of the things that I will say to myself, I go, well, I would never say that to Jack. I would never in a million years say that to Jack. So why am I saying that to myself? That little 17-month-old version of me is somewhere in there. Same with people you interact with. You know, like, if I were to be mean to you right now, or say something that would, you know, upset you, it's like, no, that little 17-month-old version of you's in there somewhere that I'm saying that to now. So that's been something I've kind of picked up, is like, be a little nicer to yourself and obviously the people around you. But I'm only really hard on myself normally. And so that's something I've kind of noticed from being a dad that's changed in me.
Yeah. Your negative inner critic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I experience that a lot.
I think a lot of people do. It's hard not to.
Especially, I don't know. I was talking to my brother-in-law about that, but dudes, like, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough constantly.
Yeah.
And it can really beat you down. And the interesting thing that you just said about Jack, and I kind of had this experience, but I was like, I think my wife, Haley, she was like, she pointed it out maybe, but it was basically, look at your love for your son. Did he do anything to deserve your love? Like, I love Harlan for who he is and what he hasn't done anything to earn my love.
Right.
And then we look at ourselves and we're like, all I'm doing is trying to execute X, Y, and Z to, like, feel good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, God probably, like, looks at me like I look at my son.
100%.
Where you're good just being who you are for who you are instead of what you can do.
100%.
You know, and
Yeah.
and it was kind of an interesting paradigm shift. I was like, whoa, like that's interesting. How can I love myself like I love my son, like you just said? And that's one of those parenting epiphanies, man.
Yeah, we'd be better off if we could do it, but it's obviously so easier said than done.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
but you're
dude.
right. I mean, that's, you know,
It's years of wiring. It's years of telling yourself I'm not good enough,
mm-hmm.
which is probably what drives you to be great.
Right.
So it's like what is it? Occam's razor or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know.
I don't know what it's called either, but
It's not Occam's razor.
razors sounds cool. We can go with that.
It does sound cool. That's taking the easiest path. That's what Occam's razor is. I meant like a double-edged sword, probably, is what I was thinking.
It is. I met we were at a road trip last weekend. I don't know if you guys are big readers, but this guy,
Yep.
his name's Kevin. Is it O'Leary? I forget his name. Anyway, he ends up being a famous author, and we talked for a while. And his whole thing is like the birth order and family-driven, God-driven stuff. And he goes, he was talking to me and my wife and Jack were right over around the corner, and he goes, "Are you a perfectionist?" I said, "Yeah, I am." She goes, "Is your wife a perfectionist?" I said, "Yeah, she is." She goes, "You know, that's the hardest type of marriage to make work." And he goes, "I got this book you should go read." But then he goes, "It's also the reason you guys will make it." It's like that push and pull of, you know, having to, you know, you enjoy that work. You enjoy the trying to get it right and all that stuff is kind of funny. So and she's a 6 on the Enneagram. I'm a 3. If you look up the hardest relationships, 6s and 3s are very difficult. They're either like really, really incredibly great or really, really bad. So it's like, and we push and pull a lot. But I think, again, going back to knowing myself, I love that. I think if I had something that was do all the time, never argue, never anything, I would probably be bored. That would be more likely to not work for me than what me and my wife have.
Yeah. I'm a 3-wing 4.
I think I'm a 3-wing 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you?
3.
Yo,
2
you're a
3s.
3? I don't know what that means.
It means y'all get plenty done. I can say that.
It's probably too much. Probably too much.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Dude,
Yeah.
I want to hear. I want to hear a little about the tour too, because like it was announced, and what you're doing is, from what I understand, bringing that experience of home to people.
Yeah.
Tell me about the intentionality behind that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. You know, we tiptoed into this acoustic tour kind of world earlier this year. I wouldn't call it a tour. We did 4 or 5 shows. I just wanted to see how it felt, how fans received it, all that stuff. Because I've always wanted to do an acoustic tour, but again, back to the pleasing people. You know, I just always bring the band and the lights, and it's like, you know, that's gonna work, right?
Just get them drunk and play some music,
you know, serve them some
man.
beers and play some loud, some upbeat music. But
Yeah.
I think what I learned the first time around, of all, you know, like I told you, Mac and Jack are on the poster as the openers. And some people actually thought they were going to sing, which, sorry if you thought that. It was more just
One day.
One day
Jack will be up.
But they come out and they say, hey, and they're, you know, I weave them into the show. But being able to bring them with me has been amazing. And then what I also learned in the acoustic shows I've just felt like I was able to be so much more myself. Like I wasn't going out. I always felt like when I went on stage with the band, I was, you know, just a bunch of rah-rah, kind of putting on, being a little bit inauthentic. Whereas the acoustic show, I walk out and I say, hey, and I just play music. And I'm able to play these songs in the exact way that I wrote them. And I think my music lends itself to acoustic very well. It's how they all start, just me and a guitar. And like I said, most of it is lyrically driven. There's a story there, and there's always a story behind it as well. And so the last few years, I've done full band shows with a VIP show before the band show, which is like you upgrade your ticket, pay a little extra, and you come before the band show, and it's just me and a guitar, and it's normally 50 to 100 people. And I play an acoustic set for them, and that's before the night actually begins. And at some point, I just realized, man, I'm having way more fun doing that than I am the band show. And so the idea behind these Dreamhouse acoustic shows is that it is the VIP show. It's the intimate thing that I was loving with these fans, except it's not a 30-minute set anymore. It's the whole night. It's the whole show. And it's been really special. Like I'm very interactive with fans. I'll ask them, like, did you enjoy the acoustic or the band better? Did you like the acoustic or the band better? And I'd say like 85% of them are saying acoustic. They're really loving it. So I think there's a lot to be learned there. A lot of these shows on this tour are acoustic. We are going to do one full band show at the Bluestone in Columbus, which is one of my favorite venues. And I think just working some more of those authentic acoustic elements into the band show. I want to go out and not really use any tracks. I want to go out with a real band and just play music and, take what I've learned from these acoustic shows as far as connection with the crowd and put that in the band show. And I think that's what's going to happen eventually is we'll get a band show that feels as good as the acoustic show has felt to me this year. And then, bringing our family to them, bringing my dream house to them is kind of the idea. And so me, Mac, and Jack will be traveling around. We just announced 10 new dates. And so I think the plan is to keep this going. Next year will be the same thing, but it'll be more of a mix. I think some acoustic shows, some band shows, kind of keep going back and forth there. And it's been really special. Again, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. It's rejuvenated me on the road. I'm having so much fun. And I feel like I'm leaving. We're playing smaller, more intimate rooms. So they're like 500 tickets. And so I feel like
fun though.
It's so fun. And it's like, I feel like I'm leaving with 500 best friends because I meet all of them. Like I say hello to literally everybody at every show.
You go to the merch booth, right?
I go to the merch booth, and I'm able to like actually hug or shake the hand of everybody that comes to the show.
And that's where you build real fans, man.
Yeah.
And I think that people miss that. Like they get to a point where they feel like they're too good for that or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, fans are the community of people that met you, that took the picture with you, and they're going to show up again when you come back through town.
And they do. I mean, I've got people that have been to, like, there's a couple people that are 20 or 30 shows now. There's one that is working on 55. I think her next show is going to be 55 shows.
Wow.
I told my wife, I'm like, she's been to more shows than you have. You gotta start coming out a little more.
Dude, that's awesome though, man. I love that you're doing that. And it reminds me of what music was when it really, I think about this a lot lately, but I think about how Bob Dylan was playing on the March for Washington or at Washington?
I should know this. I just watched the movie like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. I Have a Dream speech, and Bob Dylan was there, and like Peter, Paul, and Mary and stuff.
Right.
But they were singing these songs, and they were actually quite political and like very like driving culture through music. But it was just a singer and an instrument. Yeah. And the instrument wasn't getting in the way of the song, Right. I feel that a lot too with the full band stuff. And again, I think it's just figuring out the right way to work that full band. But I feel like some of my favorite things that I want to say throughout a show may get lost because of that. I want that moment to be there for those people. Yeah, and you can tell the story.
I can tell
about
the story.
Where you were.
Speed it up. Yeah. I can pull it back. I can do whatever I want with the songs right now. And that's been my favorite thing. I think it's just that connection that you feel. And like I said, most of my fans are there because of a connection they feel to that music, because of the lyric, because of the story that's being told. And so I think when they come to these shows, they feel that even more. It's just me and them, and it's fun. I go out in the crowd and I sing a couple, literally just me, no microphone, no plugged in, just singing in the room, as acoustic as you can be. And I don't have that planned. I'm playing. There's no set list. I just go, what'd be fun in my head? I'm like, it'd be fun if I just go stand on that table over there and sing the song with the audience. And I just go do it because there's no playbook for the acoustic show in such a fun way.
It can breathe.
Yeah, it can breathe. Again, some fan can shout any song title from the back of the room and be like, I want to hear this, or I drove 9 hours to be here and this is my favorite song. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to play it for you right now. As where if it's the band show and the band doesn't know that song because it's from 2017, I'm kind of in trouble. But this one, I'm able to kind of accommodate everybody, which is really fun. And I want people to leave the show feeling that. I want people to know, like, man, that's the best show I've been to in a long time. Like, that was different than anything I've seen this year. And so I think, luckily, that's what people have been feeling. And so I'm excited to keep that going. And like I said, work that into the band show too. Let's get some of that into the full band show too.
Totally. Vince Gill does that well.
I just saw him at the Ryman a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That man played for 3 hours.
He's a beast.
Hours. Yeah, it was insane. We found the set list online about 30, 40 minutes into the show, and I was with my mom and dad at the Ryman, and he started at 9 p.m. And it was 37 songs long. And we looked at each other, we go, oh my God, like this is a long time. These rhyming seats are very wooden and my butt's going to be hurt. But yeah, he played for 3 hours.
Did he talk, like tell stories and stuff like that?
Yeah, he was very, very interactive with the crowd. He let his whole band sing a song, like went around and introduced everybody and like showcased all the talent in the band. His daughter, oh my gosh, my favorite moment, I'm forgetting his daughter's name.
Jenny?
It's not Jenny, it's the other one. I don't know her name. We'll find it later. Pop it up on the screen. She opened the show, but he also brought her back out and she sang When My Amy Prays, which is her mama. But she sang it When My Mama Prays instead of Amy, which is Vince's version. And it was my favorite moment of the night. So good. And her voice is insane. So good.
Wow.
Yeah, really great. I should know her name because I loved it, but
yeah,
it shouldn't be hard to find.
Yeah, we'll have to to find it and put it up there.
Yeah.
Dude, last question, man. Like, first off, thanks for coming on this.
Yeah, I could do this all day. I love talking like this.
Dude, me too.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's very, very fun. I like going into it with no notes and stuff.
I saw that. I like that too. Normally I kind of look up the show and do some research, but I saw that you kind of go in with no notes, so I came with no notes today too. So.
Yeah, that's how I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like my guests to get speeding tickets on the way. And then
man, Spring Hill. Is that right? Spring Hill? Springfield.
Spring Hill, south Nashville.
That's right,
or north.
Springfield, to anybody out there watching, there is an officer every 50 feet on the street. So I will maybe I'll be back for the court date. We could do another episode.
Don't drive 55 and a 30.
Don't do 55 and a 30.
5 over might work, but but 25 over, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
So you talked about how you're able to support your family, and one of the things that a lot of people wonder about is the business side. And I'm curious about if you could talk about the different verticals within being a musician where you generate revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we look at it at face value and it's like, oh, it's touring. But
Right.
What are some of the things that have proven well for you that you would suggest to other artists that are independent?
I mean, first of all, I would say being aware of all of the different categories, right? Where money comes in, where money goes out. I think there's a lot of artists that are just creative and they're not even really aware of who's taking this percentage, who's taking this percentage. I think just having a good landscape of where all the hands in the cookie jar, if you will, where all the money is going, who's taking what, is a good start. Because, going back to the record deal, when I signed my record deal, I did not know, you normally get a percentage of your master when you sign the record deal. Mine was 18%. I knew I had to recoup, but I didn't know I recouped at that 18%. So let's call it 20. If I spend $1 million of the label's money, I have to make $5 million to pay back that $1 million. I didn't know that. And nobody told me. My manager at the time never mentioned that.
And your attorney didn't?
My attorney didn't mention that. And, had I known that, I would have probably made a different decision. But that's something I think is pretty common knowledge. And I didn't know it. So
most people don't. Only one person on this podcast has ever said that other than you.
Yeah. You would just think, spend $1 million, make $1 million, back to even.
Correct.
But that's not how it works. And I didn't know that. And so just little things like that as far as the landscape goes. Ask questions, be aware. And I was a business major in college. So I actually kind of enjoy running both sides of the ship. There are some people that just want to be creative, give it to the team and let them do the rest. I'm not that way, probably back to being a bit of a control freak. I like to be involved in all of it. But I think now more than ever, just the language of those deals, they used to be 360 deals, right? And it was that basically means that they get a percentage of everything you do. Now I would imagine, I haven't looked into them lately, but the deals are definitely a little bit different because the power of the artist is so much more in the artist's hands than it was before TikTok and this whole social media wave came along. So
for you, is merch a big one? Like,
merchandise is super important.
Like for you, is it merch, music, performance?
For me, I would say now it's music first and foremost. That's streaming. That's the most, and vinyl sales and stuff like that.
Because of master ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because all of it's coming to me now, whereas before I got zero pennies from music.
Yep.
So I think I had, while I was at the label, I think I probably had 450 to 500 million streams. Never saw a penny, and never will. Like that'll never recoup. It'll just they'll keep making money off of those songs forever. And maybe it'll eventually recoup, but I won't see that. Whereas now, Lord willing, I have another 400, 500 million streams, but that money will be coming back to me. So that's definitely my biggest source of income. And same with SiriusXM. It's what they call sound exchange.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you would make money there. They've been a big supporter of me in my career. So where that was going to the label before, now that comes to me. So definitely music, streaming, Sirius, radio, all that stuff, number one for me. I would say second would be touring, and third would be merch, because merch is, I'm somebody that cares about merch. Like I want an artist to have good merch, and I want it to be comfortable, and I want it to look good. And so I try to do that with my stuff. And so merch is just a great way to, you can kind of cover your expenses of getting to whatever city you're in for the show, or your band expenses or whatever, by having a good night at merch. And like we talked about earlier, I like to go out to the merch booth and sign any shirts or hats or that people might want after the show, just to add a little extra incentive for people to go grab something. Because if I went to a show and an artist did that, I would love that. And so I do that. So that's kind of the main three pillars. And then there's, I think everything else kind of comes from that, right? If your music's doing well, if the show's great, then you get private shows and people asking you to come play this conference or come here and play, and that kind of thing helps as well. So it just kind of all rises at the same time, as long as you keep it all doing well, I think.
Yeah. Keep showing up.
Yeah. I mean, again, it just all goes back to doing it for yourself, for your family, for your own reasons. Because social media now, I mean, it is, there's so much music. There's so many artists. There's so many posts happening every day. I mean, from when I sat down to when I get up, there's probably 10,000 new songs that have been uploaded to Spotify, 20,000 new posts that have gone up, all trying to go viral, all trying to get the attention of these fans. And you just can't think of it that way, because you can't compete against all that. All you can do is be the best version of what you are that you can be. And that's what I've been really, really just trying to focus on. There's a song it's number 3 on the album. It's called Big Day in Our Little World. And the whole thing is like, it ain't going to make a headline, or the cover of a magazine. Like nothing that we're doing today in our world is going to make the front page, but it's a big day in our little world. Like that's how we're treating this entire operation, is like, yeah, when we got married, when I proposed to you, there's a lot of people that don't care about that. That's a huge day in our little world. Big day. When we found out we were having our baby, a lot of people don't care. Big day in our little world. That's the way that we look at things, is setting our own goals, having our own dreams, and celebrating those small wins along the way. When we do something that we set out to do, even if it doesn't, People Magazine doesn't pick it up, or a label doesn't call and say we want to sign you, or whatever it is, don't forget to celebrate that. Like, we wrote that down on a piece of paper and we had that goal and we did it. That dream came true. It was a big day in our little world. And so I almost named the album that, Big Day in Our Little World. I thought it was such a cool,
that's cool, man.
A cool idea. But it's number 3. It's in a good spot for listening. So,
well, excited for the record and the tour that starts in November.
Yeah, November 3rd at the Troubadour.
Woo.
Yeah.
Some history there.
Yeah, a little bit.
For people that want to check out your stuff, where should they go?
I'm very easily findable. All the social medias are at Adam Doleac, and then it's www.adamdoleac.com. That'll take you everywhere you want to go.
Doleac.
Doleac. Sound it right on out. People mess that up all the time. I've been Adam Doleac for many shows.
That's awesome, man. I've been Stephan for many things.
Yeah, Stephan instead of Stephen. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, thank you, man, for coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I'm stoked for you.
Yeah, thank you.
That we're both born in '88.
Nice.
We both have little kids.
Amazing.
And wives.
Yeah.
And are doing these things of chasing dreams, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Great questions. Everything but the speeding ticket was fantastic.
Good.
But I really enjoyed it. I hope we get to do it again sometime.
Yeah, man. Me too, bro.
Yeah. Cheers.
Beer. Cheers.
Beers.
Cheers, beers.
Cheers, beers.
This is the Stephan Hogan Podcast.